Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Top Flight Pod. You know what it is. You know what we're here to do. We're back on screen today with my G Alex. We're Austin TV, my G football critic. We're ready to talk all the Austin FC news, everything going on with this club, and a little bit more than that. Of course, Mexico right now is playing against River Plate. Sebastian Driussi was presented as the new Millonario player. But starting off with my G Alex, of course. How you doing, bro? Welcome.
I'm cold. I'm very cold in this very snowy day actually for us in Texas, which is very weird. But no, I'm great, man. I'm great. Preseason started. Austin FC had its first game of the preseason, and so yeah, that's a lot to talk about the team.
Well, you're right. Preseason did start, mate, but there was no stream. There was barely any updates. So we have some things to go off of, right? But it's important that we don't draw that many conclusions from the first preseason game of a
Yeah.
new era when there's so much left to go. But of course, we got a lot to talk about. We got new signings. We have players that have yet to arrive, and a lot of other Austin FC news that we're going to get into. Shout out to everybody that's on Patreon. Shout out to everybody that's on the Discord, of course, and everybody that participates on those Twitter spaces. It was great to see a lot of you at the event, the open training event. That was a lot of fun. The club did really good by opening the doors to a training session to the season ticket holders. Hopefully, in the future, more people can be involved in that. But that's where I want to start off today, Alex. You had the opportunity to speak with not only Elia Sanchez, but you also spoke with the gaffer Nico Estévez again. Again, you're very lucky. You've been in contact with him before. But what was your initial thoughts to that? I know that that's something that we've never seen at this club, but a first time for everything.
Well, regarding the whole event, I loved it. Honestly, I think it was great, and people were so happy to be able to be there to see the full training, right? Like to be able to see what the players do, even not it's not just because it's your team, but because you're seeing a pro team actually train, right? So maybe you're curious about the drills, about what the plan is, about the teams that they form when they are together. So I think all of that is like really cool, a really cool thing to see and to get to know, and I'm happy that people get to see that experience, right? Um, then regarding the talking to Nico is a great coach. I really like that he loves to talk about soccer. You can ask him a question, a tactical question, or whatever related to the game, and he will give you a legit, well thought answer about how he sees the game. And to me, that's
Hmm.
awesome, especially after what we are used to in the last 4 years, right? So the fact that you can talk soccer with Nico is really cool. And kind of wish that maybe later we can have another interview like the one that we had when he was appointed, where instead of really just making questions about who he is, about him being the new coach, rather have a soccer talk. I think that would be something really cool.
I mean, imagine all the different stories or different things that you can pick up from a guy like Nico. He's
Yeah.
not the greatest coach in the world, but he's had some interesting teams in his resume as he's gone through his career around the world. He has Europe, he has Columbus Crew, early days, and of course FC Dallas, and now Austin FC. Right? I mean, that's something that you got to definitely point out. But Alex, you mentioned how this guy talks about soccer, but it kind of goes further than that. One of the first things that you told me after we left Q2, you're like, man, this guy loves to talk tactics. And I think Nico Estévez gave us a whole different side of media availabilities with a head coach, because before,
Yeah.
with Josh Wolf, the conversation went a completely different way. It went to a whole different kind of level. But with Nico, you see that there's tactics being talked about. He's mentioned what kind of different formations he's either tried before and what he wants to try with
Yeah.
this new team. So, I mean, it was great to hear a coach break down what he wants to do, his future plans, and how they're going to do it. I appreciated that the most from what Nico had to say, because he had a lot to say. You got a bunch of good quotes from him, but there was also some other great quotes, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Nico answered several questions in a way that I didn't expect him to.
Hmm.
Even Phil West asked him a question directly, like aimed at the formation, like, "Hey, what formation are you gonna use?" Right? And we're so used to like not getting an answer from a question so direct like that. But he was like, no, I think we can use this and then transition to that. And then we also have players to do this other format. Like he was open to talk. Obviously, he's not gonna reveal every detail because I mean,
Facts.
it's logical, right? That he can't reveal all of
Hmm.
that. But the fact that he can at the very least give you something to go on or something for you to think about when regarding AustinFC and how they might play. I think it's really cool for not only for me as someone that gets to ask questions, or for any of the journalists, but also for the fans to maybe get some idea of what they might see in match day 1.
100%, bro. And one of the quotes here that I have from Coach Nico is, he says this. He says, "This year we're going towards different formations, not only attacking, if not defending. It's going to be different when we build up than when we're finishing attacks. We'll have other plans based on the opponent." He also goes on to say, "We've also been practicing playing with two forwards in the build-up. In the build-up phase, it looks more like two forwards, and maybe when finishing the attacks, it looks more like two tens." And that's just a little bit that we chose to highlight and post on the We Are Austin TV page. And of course, if you want to keep up with all Austin FC news, make sure to check us out on various social media platforms. But not only Nico, Alex, you got to talk to Elia Sanchez, and very, very world-class player. I'm sure he's an even more incredible human being. He chooses to open up his time with the media. He thanks the media for being there, but he also sends some words to the people of Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. We know that he has Los Angeles very near and dear to his heart. He won a championship there, and from what I've been told from LAFC fans, mate, not only do they love him, they still call him their captain. But apparently apparently Ilie, he remembers fans' names from meet and greets. He is very close to the fan base where he plays. So it's not just a soccer player putting out a quote that's going to get good PR. No, this guy really feels for the people out there, because even he himself says that he has family and friends that are going through the situation, and he just can't believe what's going on out there. But Alex, your thoughts on what Ilie had to say, because there was more to it also.
Yeah, no, I think like what you said, he's just a great human being. I mean, he came out and he was in flip-flops, in like 25-degree weather. But he was in flip-flops, and he just came and immediately just like shook hands with everyone out there, like everyone of the journalists, everyone that was there. And then I believe is Moises who gets the first question on him. But before answering, he goes out to say, "Hey, my heart is with all of the LA people," and he gives this, long speech that like heartfelt speech. That afterwards, I will be like, he probably forgot what the question was in the first place. And then, but no, then he finishes, talking about the LA fires, and then he goes, "So yeah, so now to answer your question," and then he continues, right? So it's like he's a great professional. He gave me like a really good impression of that he's not only a great human being, but that he's also smart. I think we're gonna see a really smart player on the field, and that especially after what we saw today with the lineups for the preseason game, where he was in the midfield with the youngsters. I think he's gonna teach these young players so much that is gonna be very, very good for us.
No, and one other thing that I like to add on to that point that you just made, Alex, was one thing that I noticed on the different things that the club posts on social media about Ilie and the team. They post stories of the players whenever they train at the St. David's Performance Center. We see that there was one video that I saw that the team was kind of waiting around to do the first jog. Elia Sanchez comes out, he's trotting himself, and as soon as he takes that first step onto the pitch, all the team starts to run with him, and that's just how much these guys respect him, and how much they already accepted him into this group. So I know there's a lot of people asking me if he's going to be captain. I don't know if he is or not, but I'd say he's definitely a candidate for that. It's very early, but he is a candidate, I would say.
I don't know that captaincy. I mean, I don't doubt his abilities to be a captain. I just think that it's kind of weird to sign a new player and immediately give him the armband, especially when he was a captain of a rival team in your conference, and that goes immediately over players that have been for a long time, like Brad Suber or Julio. So
or
I don't know if he would be given the Gallagher. Yeah, so I don't know if he would be given the armband, but he definitely can be a captain on the field without it, and I have no problem with that.
I agree. One of the quotes that I'm going to read real quick from Elia Sanchez, you can check out everything that we posted on him in the media availability, of course, by our very own Mr. Alex, We're Austin TV. Elia Sanchez, he chooses to say this. He says that he's very confident that he made the right decision just because of the players that we have here in our squad. Also, the great atmosphere that we can all experience. You asked him about playing with Danny Pereira and Owen Wolf. He also says that it's actually one of the reasons why he chose to come to Austin and play for Austin FC, because of the quality of the guys here. Definitely the midfield group, they have a very strong group of guys. So Ilie, kind of highlighting what we have here, and definitely we are continuing building this. We're continuing to build this team, and of course we're going to get into some of that. But any last thoughts on Elia Sanchez, mate?
No, I think I asked him precisely because of that. I wanted to see his thoughts on the midfield, right? And he, I think he said what I was thinking he would say about playing with Owen and Danny, because our midfield, remember, to this point where Sabovic wasn't official and Dubersarsky was barely new, right? Was barely announced. Our midfield was Danny, Owen, and Ilie, no one else. So asking him like, hey, Owen is 29 years old, Danny is 24 years old. These are very young players. Danny is, I don't consider Danny a young, like that young anymore. He's in the adulthood of soccer right now.
Of course.
But he has been with the team all his professional career, right? So we still see him as this developing player. So I wanted to ask him, like, hey, you've seen Danny, you've played against Danny, played against Owen, especially in that 2022 season where Austin FC beat LAFC every match during the regular season, right? The two times during the regular season. And so he knows this player. So then having him on the same side, it's like, what can you teach them, or what were you seeing when you were told, hey, you might play with these two youngsters? And on top of that, we're bringing in another 20-year-old from Argentina who was a highlight in the Argentinian league, and days after, you're now getting a European center mid as well. So it's like, what are the thoughts about all of this? And he's just like, this is just a great midfield that they're building, and I think it's going to be good not only for Ilie to play with his teammates, but the teammates to play with Ilie.
And also, one other thing that he said there is that he wants Austin FC to be his last club. He wants this to be his last MLS club. I thought that was very interesting for Ilie to say. That was big. But on what you just said, Alex, I'm pretty sure, or I'm hoping, or I'm thinking that the coaching staff, when they were trying to recruit Elia Sanchez, they had to let him know, like, hey, the players that we have are here, but we're also building this midfield. We want you to be a part of this. We're going to get this guy. We're going for that guy. It's all going to be put together soon. So we have a project that we're trying to build here at Austin. Come be a part of it. And Ilie says that he thinks, he's confident that he made the right choice to come to Austin FC. But Alex, I want to get into some more stuff here, some more Austin FC news with Besard Sabovic, the new player that was just announced. Now, of course, we got Verde smoke, we got the green smoke from Anthony Precourt. The club did the quote tweet with the little crazy eyes, and everybody went mad. Everybody went crazy, and rightfully so. Austin FC announced today that it has acquired midfielder Besard Sabovic via a free transfer. Sabovic will sign a 3-year guaranteed deal through 2027 with an option for 2028. Now, born in Stockholm, Sweden, Sabovic is a citizen of Sweden and North Macedonia. Sabovic has played most of his professional career with Djurgårdens IF, winning the Swedish league title with the team in 2019. Now, before we get into some more stats, mate, what are your initial thoughts on the signing of Besard Sabovic, another central midfielder, but this guy, he's being called the sniper. The fans of his club, when he scores, they say that he shoots to kill. This is the sniper. He's coming to Austin FC. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, I mean, I like the signing. I really do. I think there's a little bit of an overhype, though, if I'm being honest. In the sense that, no, I'm not saying like he's not. I'm not saying he's bad or anything like that. No.
Okay.
But just saying like he's coming from Europe, and I'm really happy about the fact that he was a free transfer. 26-year-old European midfielder in a free transfer, and reportedly with offers for Europe. And Austin was like, hey, this is the place where you want to be. And then he said, you know what? Actually, that's the place where I want to be. That's the next challenge I want to face. So I'm really happy about that. And if you look at his stats, he's actually a very solid player. And he's exactly the type of defensive midfielder that I said we were missing after signing Dubersarsky. I said, okay, we have Ilie and we have Duber as defensive. We have Danny and Owen as offensive midfielders. We need someone that kind of fits in the middle of those two. And he seems to be this type of profile. when I say there may be a little bit of an overhype, is just because we got to remember that he's also coming from the Swedish league. And
Correct.
yes, he's European, and yes, he played in the Europa League, and I know, but the Swedish league is not as competitive, right? In Europe, that's what we might hoped. That's not to say he's gonna be bad. I mean, we know we all, especially you, loved Ruben Gabrielsen, right? When he came here, came in from that side of Europe. So I'm sure he's actually a great player, and I think he's gonna be. I have a good feeling about him. I think he's gonna be great for us. I just don't want people to get the wrong idea of we're getting this amazing European midfielder when he can be great, but he's from the Swedish league. He's not coming from La Liga 2. He's not coming from the championships. He's not coming from La Liga, Italy, the main European leagues.
Okay. Hey, I think that's pretty fair to say. I know a lot of folks are going to hear that. They're going to be like, yeah, you know what? Alex does have a point. I want to read this from the official press release of AustinFC Communications. They say, in two separate stints with Djurgårdens 2015 through 2019 and 2022 through 2024, Sabovic totaled 10 goals in 107 appearances, including 21 appearances in the UEFA Conference League, like I mentioned, mate. He started all 6 of the team's group stage matches in this season's UEFA Conference League, helping the team to a 4-1-1 record in the competition. Now, there's also a little bit of an important detail to add to all this, is the fact that Austin paid New York City FC $50,000 in 2025 GAM for the discovery rights of this guy. So, I know it's just $50K, but that's a little bit of a piece to add to the puzzle. Now, we get a quote from Sabovic in the press release. He says, after playing my entire career in Europe thus far, moving to the United States and joining Austin FC is the exact challenge I am looking for. I'm grateful to Rodo Borrell and the club's ownership for their belief in me and can't wait to meet my teammates and the supporters. So, just like you mentioned, he did spend most of his career in Europe, is Swedish football, a little bit of Russian football. He has great long-range passes. He's a great free kick taker. He's good on the ball from what we've seen. He can slow the tempo, but switch the play in just a matter of seconds to create some chances moving forward. So I want to ask you, Alex, is this a W signing or is this an L signing? What do you think?
Well, no, absolutely a W signing. I mean, the guy is great. He fits right into the midfield. A lot of people were panicking after selling Seba because, we need to find another 10. No, we don't need to find another 10. We can play with 3 midfielders and 3 different types of midfielders. And you got the defensive midfielder in Ilie and Dubarsarski. You got the kind of middle midfield, like actual central midfielder, not too offensive, not too defensive. You play central midfielder in Sabovic, and then you got the offensive midfielders in Danny and Owen. So I think he fits perfectly. He's exactly what we needed. And 26-year-old mature guy from Europe, which Europe, I guess I just said the Swedish league is not one of the best leagues. Doesn't mean it's a bad league. It still has that professionalism from a European league. And so the guy that's coming here is already mature, he's already developed, he already knows how to be a pro. And we just got that guy for free. So I mean, that's just going to be great.
You paid $50K to New York City FC, but what's $50K, right? What's $50K?
Monopoly money.
Exactly. Now, Alex, just one more question on Sabovic, and this is a big one. This is the main thing that a lot of people are going to be asking themselves, of course, with the competition that we have, especially at that position in the midfield. And of course, we're going to get into a thread on Twitter that you posted that explains a lot of this, right? But the question is Sabovic a walk-on starter for Austin FC, or do you think he's going to have to fight for his spot? Because Traoré is still in limbo with Austin FC, Elton Chifamba. We also have Irvin Torres, who's kind of fighting his way up those ranks. You can't forget about Nico Dubersarsky, the young 20-year-old Argentine player, the U22 that Austin FC just brought in. I mean, there's competition at that position like never before, and it's being contended by some top players. So is this guy a walk-on starter, or do you think he's going to have to fight for his minutes?
To me, he's a walk-on starter. I think we went out and got him because we want him to play. Irving Torres, like you said, he's fighting for a spot, and according to what Nico was saying, he seems to be doing very well. But I don't think he's starting yet. And Nico Dubersarsky, that's the one that's interesting to me because he was like I said, a highlight in the Argentinian league. He with Independiente, with Instituto, he finished in one of the highest positions they've ever had in a decade or something like that. And it was mostly because of him, because he earned his starting status and was the engine of that team. That's how they call him, the little engine. And so I'm curious to see if Nico Dubersarsky is going to come here and give actually someone a fight, or is he going to come here and wait 1-2 years to adapt and then be able to take a starting role, right? So if you ask me, I think Ilie, with his veterancy, with his experience, his leadership, is going to be one starter. It will be his spot to lose to Dubersarsky, in my opinion. Then it will be Sabovic also in the midfield, and then we'll have Danny and Owen fighting for the other midfield position offensively. So to me, because you have two offensive midfielders fighting, two defensive midfielders fighting, I think Sabovic is the guy in the middle that really doesn't have anyone else to fight for, unless we want to play really defensively, when we can play Ilie and Dubersarsky at the same time, or two offensively with Danny and Owen at the same time. But I think he has the upper hand right now between the setup that I think Nico is trying to set up.
I want to go back real quick to something you said, Alex. You said that the club had to fight to get this guy, and you're right, because initial reports were saying that this might not happen. Tom Boger was saying that it was unlikely that AustinFC convinced Sabovic to come to the capital of Texas. Why? Because there was reports that Nashville were after this guy also, and there was other options in Europe. There was other European options for this guy, and you know how attractive Europe is to some of these players. So what did the scouting team, what did the coaching staff tell this guy in order to convince him to come to Austin? I don't think we'll ever know that, but it had to be something pretty major, because if you had options in Europe, I mean, that is pretty important, especially for a European player. European player, because you stay closer to home. But then, you also have Nashville. So the fact that there was competition there and AustinFC was able to win another transfer battle, it definitely gives me hope for the season, because of the quality of players that they brought and everything else that is going to come. Anything else you'd like to add on Besard, mate?
No, I think I just want to see. I just want to see what he's capable of. Precisely, also because one thing is looking at the stats and another thing is looking at the player. Because if I look at the stats, I mean, he's obviously a midfielder. He's not a consistent goal scorer, but then his fans also calls him the sniper, and he has a reel here and there with a really good free kick. So I want to see how offensive he actually is. I want to see how much of that middle guy he actually can be between Danny and Ilie, or if maybe he's this bulldog type of player that will bite at the rival's ankles and stay back, helping the back line, while Ilie is the one distributing the ball, right? So I'm really curious about what his actual qualities on field is going to be, and how Nico wants to use him.
100%. And I saw that he was number 14 with Jugardens. I believe that number is available now that Diego Rubio chose number 21 and Svatok changed his number as well. So his number is open. I'm wondering how that presentation is going to go for Mr. Sabovic. But one thing is for sure, he is an AustinFC player, and the club is ready to accept him with open arms. We've had some people from Sweden kind of let us know that he's a killer outside the box. He has a great shot. He's very gritty. He loves to go into every kind of tackle. So just like you mentioned it, Alex, this is going to be a pit bull player. Hopefully he is, and we'll see how the season goes with Sabovic. Hopefully he gets incorporated to the team as soon as possible now that they're officially on preseason. But we'll get to that here in a bit. Now, Alex, I want to talk about the thread that you had today on X, on Twitter, on the team depth and the tactics. One of the first couple of tweets that you had here, it says, the latest AustinFC signings have been defensive midfielders, with Ilie as the smart MLS veteran with precise distribution and positioning, Dubersarsky as the young Argentine developing and willing to fight for a spot, and Sabovic as the mature European. You also say, the way that I see it, Alex, one of them, I'll go with Sabovic, will stay back helping out the back line. His job will be to tackle, interact, recover, and pass. After recovering, he'll make short passes to Ilie, Danny, fullbacks, and they'll transition to an offensive formation 4-4-2. You kind of explained a lot of that, mate, when you were talking about Sabovic and whatnot. But, before we read some more of this stuff, because it is a lot of great explanation on what you think is going to happen in this season, just kind of tell us or walk us through your thoughts when you were putting out this thread that kind of explains everything going on as I put the starting 11 that you predict on screen.
Yeah, so essentially, well, I think we all know that Stuver is going to be the goalkeeper. I kind of want to see Las, but Las is like the guy that you put in every now and then. Stuver is a starter, right? Then the center backs, I think Svatak, Julio, and Heinz Eich are all capable of being starters. Some people were like, hey, I wouldn't put Julio as a starter. I would put Brendan Heinz Eich. It's like, that's totally fine. I completely see that. I completely see any of those three together playing. I don't have a problem with that. I think the only lower level CB that we have at the moment is Leo, right? So whichever combination of CBs you want or think of, I think that's totally fair. Then we have the only right back that we have is Dessler, amazing player, but he's the only right back. And then on the left side, Guilherme Bito. I think Zan had a great decision day match last season, but not enough to take over his spot. So Bito is a starter. So defense is set. It's kind of like the same of last season. So I don't change anything. I don't change much over there. But then the midfield. The midfield is the interesting part to me because Ilie is 34 years old. He's smart. He's really smart. He's the kind of player that he doesn't need to move much around to be able to know what to do. He can pass you with very good accuracy. He can pass the ball to you with very good accuracy without running too much, right? And he knows where to be. He also doesn't need to run around to defend well. He knows where to be on the field to be able to defend effectively. So with Ilie being 34 years old, I kind of see him not moving much. And in my thread, I went with Sabovic staying closer to the back line precisely because I see Ilie distributing. I see Ilie intercepting in smart positions and then just passing the ball to Danny or to the wingers in smart ways, long balls, right? Then when you analyze Sabovic, you then also see that, like I said, I've been saying, like Sabovic is this middle guy that can play up and down. But because I don't want Ilie to move too much, I'd rather leave Sabovic back closer to the back line, helping the defense and giving
the dirty work.
Yeah, doing the dirty work, doing that pitbull role of just getting the ball back, getting recoveries, and then short pass. A short pass to Ilie, and Ilie, takes care of the rest. A short pass to Danny, and Danny takes care of the rest. A short pass to the fullbacks, and the fullbacks move the ball up through the wings, right? So I just see Sabovic doing that. Ilie distributing, like I said, and then Danny, who can finally be free to move up the field and be able to combine in attack. Nico said that Danny feels more comfortable offensively, and when he has someone by his side that can let him go. And I mean, if you have two really secure guys defensively in Sabovic and in Ilie, Danny has no problem moving upwards because he doesn't have. He's not thinking, if I go up, I'm leaving the defense exposed. No, he's going to have his back covered. So with Ilie and Sabovic, so Danny can move up the field and he can then make combinations offensively, like when he has made crosses that Julio scores, right? Or when he has received balls and be able to dribble, pass, and score, like in Leagues Cup. Or that period of time where Danny was scoring and assisting a lot last year during Leagues Cup, it was because he was able to roam freely through the midfields and going to the wings. And I think that's what we can see with this midfield if we have the defense covered with Sabovic and with Elia Sanchez distributing, or the way around, with Elia Sanchez defending and with Sabovic helping in that transition forward.
Mate, that was perfect. That was pretty well said there. Now, I do want to mention something about Usuni because you do have him here in this thread. You say Usuni is coming from consistently scoring double digits with Granada for 3 seasons in both the first and second divisions of Spain. He's done so as a center forward rather than a left wing. Vasquez shined the most with Cincy playing as a second striker, making the 4-4-2 viable. I know that's been talked about with Nico there in the media availabilities. You also say that another quality of Brandon Vasquez is his hold-up play and being able to pull the center backs to him, opening the spaces for the likes of Bukhari and Usuni. Now, all four, Danny, Usuni, Brandon Vasquez, and Bukhari, can create, and you say all not sure about Danny, can finish. And I think that's very well said there. Now, you also continue to say goals can now come from crosses, inside plays, through passes, anywhere. And you also add to that, you say Nico has a history of liking his fullback playing as wingbacks, which is something both Biru and Dessler are good at, overlapping with the wingers. He recently hinted at attacking at the best form of defending, meaning we could see an ultra attacking team. So kind of getting into the attack, we talked about the midfield and the defense kind of being said, but the attack is, I think maybe that's still a wide open door for every position. We didn't see Brandon Vasquez today in preseason in the first game, but we'll get to that here in a bit. And I know Usuni isn't an official AustinFC player, although the rumors and the links are pretty much having them both official. We're just waiting for the Verde smoke. This is a very interesting situation for AustinFC because they have a $30 million attack. Like Ozzy says, it's the three-headed dragon. I mean, how is the attack going to work for AustinFC? Because it's going to be a little bit of a headache until it all clicks.
Yeah, so I think with putting together a lot of things that Nico has said himself, I think that we will, when we attack, we will transition to a 4-4-2. And why is that? Because I feel like that 4-4-2 really takes advantage of all of the qualities of our players. Why? Because Mirto Usuni has been playing as a centered forward for the Granada, like the top guy, the striker, the point, right up there. And that position, he's been able to score consistently double digits in both first and second divisions in Spain. And so you don't want to take that away from a guy, that effectiveness from that guy in the last 3 years. You want to kind of help him play the same, right? Then you have Brandon Vasquez, who his best season at Cincy, it was in a double striker setup. So this, again, playing with Mirtu atop together as a two-striker setup also helps not only Usuni, but also Brandon Vasquez. Then what also happens, like I mentioned, Brandon Vasquez is not only that guy that that has good headers and gets crosses and scores out of crosses. No, he also has this gravitational pull to him with the defenders. Because he's going to keep the defenders busy, he's going to open spaces for Usuni and Bukhari to run, to explode, and to go right into goal and to score. And Nico also said he wanted to leave Bukhari on 1v1 situations. And one way I think that can happen is to literally have Brandon Vasquez pulling the defenders to him, then have a through ball, and for Bukhari to just run up and have a 1v1 situation with the keeper, right? So again, that helps Usuni, Brandon Vasquez, and Bukhari.
Very well said.
In that 4-4-2 situation, also, like if you look at the lineup, you see Danny like in the left wing, and you're like, Danny's not a left winger. No, he's not going to be a left winger. That's where the fullbacks overlap. That's where Vito can go up and attack. And we have seen he's great actually offensively. He has a hell of a shot on him, and he combines really well. He combined really well with Gallagher last season. But Danny appears in that left wing position. It's more like because he's going up and he's trying to get into the mix offensively. Again, that cross that Danny had, that Julio Cascante was able to score of last season, came from that side of the field when Danny went up almost to the end of the line and was able to make that cross. And so when you have on the left Biru going up, when you have Danny also going up on the left, mixing with Mirto, mixing with Brandon Vasquez, and then they all suddenly open in space, and you have Bukhari running into the box from the right, you then realize we can create chances from crosses, we can create chances from through passes, we can create chances from playing through the middle. So we're no longer crossing FC. We now have so many options to create because we have the players that are capable of scoring from anywhere. And that's including Sabovic, who can at any given moment run late up to the box and have a shot. I mean, why not, right? So that's why I think offensively the 4-4-2 is going to make a lot of sense. And then Nico talks about, when we lose the ball, transitioning back defensively, and it can be very organized for us to not panic in those moments either.
I agree, mate. In time, watch. Folks aren't even going to remember who Sebastian Driussi was because of all the chances, all the goals that are going to be created by more than one person. One of the main problems that I had with Driussi being on the team was that, he has 51 goals, but the issue is that nobody else is getting even near that, right? It's only one guy, and that's it. Shut down that guy, and the whole team is out. Now, just like you said, the goals are going to come from multiple different places. Like Ozzy says, shout out to Ozzy, the three-headed dragon. Foo, foo, foo. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Now, to finish off some of the stuff that you have here on the thread, you also mentioned, you say, in summary, a base lineup of 4-3-3 in the defensive stand with Ilie and Sabo recovering, an offensive transition to a 4-4-2 with Ilie distributing, Danny moving up and linking with the wingers, like you're saying, the fullbacks, the strikers, Mirto Usuni and Brandon Vasquez in a two-striker setup with Bukhari assisting, maximizing their attributes. I mean, I'm really getting excited just reading this, mate. Now, as a bonus, you mentioned the subs. You say, Coach Nico mentioned how using Rubio as a 10 and CJ as a second striker. Irvin Torres is in the mix. He's doing well so far. He's getting a lot of praise. We're kind of hearing that, which is very interesting. He's a very young player, academy product, FCito player, and making it to the first team is a huge achievement. But you also add here another option in midfield is Irvin Torres. Now, thinking that we don't need another right back, right? You feel like Gallagher will be Dessler's substitution, and a lot of possibilities that Nico seems to be considering amongst other stuff, right? And then, of course, like we've been showing on screen, your final starting 11, your prediction, right? This is just what Alex thinks is going to happen on game day 1. Here's on screen. On defense, we have Biru, Svatok, Cascante, Mikel Dessler, and, of course, Brad Stuver in goal. In the midfield, Sabovic, Dani Pereira, and Elia Sanchez in the double pivot on the offensive side. And then we have Mirto Usuni, Brandon Vasquez, and Osman Bukhari leading the attack, mate. Now, Alex, I just need you to do one more thing. Sign off on the starting 11 and say that this is what you believe we will see on match day 1.
Yeah, no, I believe that's what we will see. If anything, sure, Julio for Brendan Heitzijk or Brendan Heitzijk and Julio and Svatok bench, who knows, right? But that can vary, I don't mind. And then also in that lineup, I went with Sabovic staying back closer to the back line, but it can be Ilie and Sabovic more a little bit further up. But I think those are the 11 names that we'll see starting the starting 11 for match day 1.
Now, I'm loving the competition. I'm loving everybody that is going to have to fight for their spots. Yeah.
I want to put an asterisk in there. I think those are the 11 names we're going to see, as long as Mirto and Sabovic get their visa fast enough to get here. Yeah.
That's a good point. And hopefully nothing funny happens with the Usuni transfer, because we know that it's not official. We can't say that he's going to be here, but
he's Tom Bogart official. He's not AustinFC official.
Is it Merlo official? Not yet, right?
I don't remember. I don't remember.
I don't know if Merlo has chimed in on the Usuni topic, but he is Tom Bogart official, and I know that the team is very keen on adding a DP, a designated player after the sale of Sebastian Driussi. There needed to be a replacement to facilitate the sale, and of course the sale already happened, so where's the new player? We'll see what happens there. Now, Alex, I do want to talk about some of the stuff that we saw on social media today. I'm talking about the updates of the first preseason game of 2025. Now, there was no stream. There was nowhere to watch the game. But all we know is the starting 11 for this match, the starting 11 for the second half, and, of course, the final score, as you see here on screen if you're watching along on YouTube. Now, the first preseason friendly of 2025 ended 1-0 in favor of the New England Revolution. Not sure who scored the goal, but I don't think it was Maxi Urruti, because we would have heard about it on social media. Maybe he would have posted about it and somebody would have sent it to us by now. But we know that there was a little bit of a homecoming with Maxi and Dani Pereira. You can see her here on screen. The club posted a picture themselves, old friends. So we know that Dani and Maxi, they get along very, very well. Now, the starting 11 that we had for this match, I'll read it here, was goalkeeper Brad Stuver. The defense was Jean Kolmanich, Julio Cascante, Brendan Heitzijk, Mikel Dessler. In the midfield, we had Elia Sanchez, Mr. Irvin Torres, the youngster. He started this game, and Micah Burton, another youngster that we're not really talking about a lot, but we know that he has to step it up. He has a lot to give this team, but he has to put a lot of his part as well. In the attack, we had Mr. Jimmy Farcarlin, a player that shined last preseason. Hopefully he does the same this year. He needs to win his minutes as well. Diego Rubio, a guy that needs to be fighting for his position now that Brandon Vasquez, a younger, more maybe able striker, just signed for AustinFC. I'm talking about Brandon Vasquez. And, of course, Mr. Osman Bukhari, the guy that is pretty fast on the wing. He's very slippery, but we've yet to see the best of Osman. We got to be real. $7 million man. He has to shine this season. But, Alex, before we get into the second half 11, what did you think of the team that Nico Estévez fielded for the game against New England today?
I liked it for one reason. For one, I don't take this lineup seriously under any circumstances, right? I liked it because it was a mixture of the youngsters, right? Of you had Torres, you had Micah, you had Jimmy playing, especially in that midfield. Especially, let's talk about that midfield. Torres and Micah, who are like these youngsters that are getting a lot of praise from the club. The two main ones from FCito, playing alongside Ilie Sanchez. That's why I think they did that, because to have Ilie kind of like orientate them into a quote unquote real match, right? And then on top, then you also have Diego Rubio, who is also another veteran, MLS veteran, also a smart guy. That Nico said he was trying he was kind of like trying to train him for the 9 and 10 position. So it's just like to see how he does in that position. And then Osman Bukari also like to get him into rhythm. So I don't read into this lineup much beyond having the youngsters play, see what they're capable of, what they can provide to the team if they're ready for this season or not, and especially alongside the experienced guys who can kind of like guide them throughout the game during the game.
You're right, man. You can't really draw many conclusions from this game. There was definitely a lot of rotation. There's some players' names in there that, of course, you might not even see come match day one. But it's good. It's good, like you mentioned, how there's competition. There's a lot of rotation in here because there has to be experimentation that goes into this preseason. That's just the fact. That's just the reality. Now, of course, we can say, "Oh, we liked how this player did. We like how that guy did," because we don't know. We don't know. We don't have any videos of the corner kicks or set pieces. All we know is that the club is rotating. The club is, trying different things. And, as we're talking about the final score, we're talking about the second half lineup. I saw some tweets already saying, "Oh, this is the same thing as last year, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada." And I always like to go back to a very famous case. Me, as a Real Madrid fan, we all know this. Take a shot. I made a comparison from AustinFC to Real Madrid. We know how this bit goes. But I remember clearly when fans were ripping apart Real Madrid when they lost the preseason game to Atletico de Madrid 7-1. I mean, I couldn't go anywhere without my buddies giving me shit, giving me anything. They were teasing me. They were giving me all this stuff. Madrid went that season to win trophies, and it just goes to show how meaningless preseason games can be. Even if you do good, it's not really a sign that you'll do good later on as the season progresses. Am I wrong there, Alex, or do I have some points?
Especially, I think Madrid particularly loves to lose in preseason, especially to Barcelona. I mean,
in Vegas, I was there once. I was there.
Yeah, they're only in Vegas everywhere, bro. Madrid loses to Barcelona in the US everywhere in preseason always. But yeah, no, it's completely meaningless. Preseasons, the way I say it is for two things: to get back into shape and to try stuff out. And by stuff, I mean players, see if the youngsters are ready. By stuff, I mean tactics, see if they unpracticed work as I thought you would. Then it's not until the very final matches of preseason that you can maybe start getting a closer to the idea of that you have for match day one. But it's definitely nothing to take conclusions out of. It's not something to be mad or sad about that you lost in preseason, because it's very, very different than from how you will actually play during the season.
Now, May, one of the things that I wanted to ask you before we get into the second half lineup was the fact that we're still rocking the Las Voces kit. Interesting detail there. I know that we're going to get a new home kit here soon, but it's cool to see the guys, I guess, in the last matches in the Las Voces kit. So may it rest in peace here soon. I kind of liked it. I thought it was pretty good for,
I can't wait for the new kit to come.
Hey, careful what you wish for. The new kit looks like it's worse. I'm just being honest, based off what we've seen.
Being worse, I mean, if anything, you deserve an award if you're going to be worse than the Las Voces kit.
Hey, calma, bro. Respect the kids. Now, Alex, we have here the second half lineup. We have the goalkeeper situation. Now, I'm going to get into this here in a bit, but Stephen Cleveland started in goal in the second half, and he kept a clean sheet. We have to note that. We know that for sure. On the defense, we had Guilherme Biru, Alexander Svatok, Leo Väisänen, Thomas Riley, the super draft pick. He's there in the mix. Could be the right back option where you were talking about, because it looks like we're not going to need any more signings there. In the midfield, we had Owen Wolf. We had Dani Pereira, Chifamba, the trialist, Mr. Elton Chifamba, trialist from Syracuse. He's still in the mix. It's very interesting. Another central defensive midfielder. And in the attack, we had Patrick Grajkowski, Driussi. I think you're right. We'll call him Patrick. And then we had CJ Fodry and Khalid O'Brien. But CJ at the 9, mate. You mentioned how Nico was saying how he was going to use CJ Fodry more in the attack, more central. So we have that there. But, mate, no Damian Loss, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he subbed in for stuff in Cleveland, but maybe we see him start the second half of the second preseason game. We don't know that yet, but we'll see if Mr. Damian Loss is going to be looking for his playing time. I know that he wants it, but will he get it in Austin? Hopefully, but we'll see what happens there. I don't think he's going to be too content with the third keeper role, especially with the talent that he possesses. But Alex, your thoughts on the names that we saw here in the second half lineup, just more rotation to kind of experiment what's going to work.
Yeah, no, I am sad about Lass. I actually want to see him. Cleveland, we haven't seen him much, but what we saw in Leagues Cup, I didn't really like it. I know he saved that PK that, it was a great moment. It saved us from that game, kind of. But he was very nervous during that game, very nervous. And so I kind of was hoping that we could see more of Lass. I wanted Lass to be that goalkeeper that gets minutes every now and then, or maybe in US Open Cup, So it's kind of sad that we're still not seeing anything from Lass. But yeah, no. Beyond that, it's more of the same. More like just trying to see what the trialists can do, what the draft picks can do. And again, more experimenting. Nico said that he realized that CJ has really good qualities to be more central, to play like kind of the 9, especially because he's really good at arriving late into the box. And so he wanted to like exploit those qualities, those abilities of his. And hey, maybe he does. Maybe Nico is right. Maybe Nico is seeing something that we never saw. It's not like CJ played that much for us to see, but so if it works in training in preseason, give it a shot. I'm happy to do so. To have more options in the roster. Nico did say when I asked him about that right back position that he feels like Johnny is just great both in wings and in the fullback position, both sides. So he doesn't feel like we need another right back. But so yeah. I guess there's nothing that we can do there. John is going to be our sub right back.
Now, mate, I don't mean to cause any panic. I don't want to make anybody say, "Oh, what's going on?" No, we're not trying to do that. But I gotta ask, where was this guy today? Where was Superman? Where was Brandon Vasquez? We know he made the trip. We see him here on screen. He's got his Louis bag. I think that's Louis. It's a very nice black leather bag. We see he's decked out, got the drip, the AustinFC Verde and black drip going on. He looks like he's ready, but we didn't see his name on the first lineup or on the second lineup. And it's causing some people to ask questions at least. And it's fair to ask questions. But where do you think Brandon Vasquez was at today? It was rainy in Bradenton, Florida. So would you risk your $10 million man under some pointless rain and a pointless match for preseason? Where was Brandon?
Not only that, because a lot of people were asking, is he injured? Did he pick up a knock in training? Like, no, like, again, look at the lineups. The lineups were completely experimental. We're completely to see if the younger players were ready, to see if Rubio worked at the 9, to see if CJ worked at the 9. So how are you going to play Vasquez when you're trying to see if Rubio works at the 9, if CJ works? You're 100% sure that Brandon Vasquez is your starting number 9. You know that for a fact. So instead, use this game that is only 30 minutes long first time, 35 minutes long first time, 35 minutes long the second half, for what you want to try to see if it works on Rubio, on CJ. And then, hey, use Vasquez, where? In Coachella. Use Vasquez when you're gonna start when you get a clearer idea of what your game is gonna be like. There was no need. I know we're anxious because this is a new player. We want to see him play, we want to see him score. Chill. This was not the game for that. This was the game to experiment. The games for him to start adapting to the team are gonna be later.
Okay, very well said, Alex. Very well said. And you know what? I'm choosing to believe what you said. I'm choosing to see that side. I'm choosing to say, you know what? Calma, everybody calm down. I'm sure there's nothing there, but we'll see. Time will tell if Brendan Vasquez plays in match day 2, match day 3. But up next is Charleston Battery on Friday, so it'll be a little bit
Yeah.
of a reunion with Vigo Ortiz, Academy product there. We'll see what happens. Of course, Austin FC is going to get the dub. USL side, we got to get the dub, I must say that, but we'll see what happens. After that, they play Louisville, and then the Coachella Tour starts. You got the Galaxy, you got St. Louis, and Charlotte. And then one more game before the big party. They play Nashville preseason game here at home, Q2 Stadium, and then boom, Sporting Kansas City. And hopefully we see the lineup that Alex broke down here on screen today on the Top Flight podcast. Now, that's kind of everything for the first team. There wasn't many takeaways or conclusions to have from a preseason game that was lost 1-0. I'm excited. I'm happy that there is experimentation going on. I'm really, really excited for that. So we'll see what happens there. Now, mate, I do want to ask you about the new Austin FC 2 signing. I want to talk about Jorge Alastuey. Now, we know that he's Spanish. We know that he's a midfielder. We know that he's a product of La Masia, the Barcelona Academy. He has experience there. That's no joke. We know that how many players have came out of that academy and what they went to do in the world of football. But this is a little bit of a new and improved Austin FC 2. It's a little bit of a new and improved version. What are your thoughts of this move?
What has been surprising me lately is that, you know how we were in 2022, this team that, like this great academy that won the league, and then we kind of like sold our players because they grew, right? They got better. Then 2023, 2024 was kind of like not great, and we were actually went down, and we went down in a it was bad because we didn't see our players really developing that much, and they also weren't winning, and players were leaving. So we were like, okay, what's going on, right? Yeah, but then from a few months back, we're seeing that they are making signings and strong signings, like again, like players from La Masia, who you ask, are we building a competitive team? I mean, what are we doing? Are we again getting really young players to develop and sell, or are we getting the players to develop and with real chances of getting into the team, like Micah and Arvin Torres, or are we getting a team to compete and win? Because all those three things are very different and are very different goals for any like academy side, right? So I'm kind of curious or confused about what the plan is with the FCito now, because the plan seemed to be just to develop and sell. Now we seem kind of hungry, so I'm curious about what FCito is going to be like this season.
We definitely have to keep in mind that we now have a coach that has that youngster economy in his mind. We know that a lot of the clubs that he's been at in the past operate in that way, where they have to bring up young guys. They have to make these kind of signings. They depend on finding that gem, right? They depend on finding that player that's going to be the next it factor from their academy. Now we have Jorge here on screen, and of course I brought up Mr. Vlad, another young forward that FCito signed. I say another because they've made other moves, because they brought in Peter Grogan, just to name one player. And of course, Jorge is a midfielder from La Masia. But we also got to talk about the Spanish connection that's going on all around in the club, from the coaching staff from the FC2 players to the first team players. I mean, like Ozzy, he's dropping all these banger quotes. La Nueva España. I mean, we kind of got to acknowledge the fact that we have a Spanish connection here, mate. It's just facts.
No, it's expected, I guess. I mean, when you have Roland, then you have Nico, you kind of expect to have like a Spanish staff, right? But what's interesting is that they announced like a while back all of the like new staff, coaching staff for Nico, but then we got more. We went out there and got more people, and from Granada. I mean, do you think this is something like they kind of like negotiated as they were kind of like asking around for Usuni? Because I mean, these are people that obviously they have a resume, but it's like everyone is from Spain and everyone is connected. Everyone's just good staff that both Nico and Rodo seem to have already known at some point in their lives, and they were like, you know what, I actually want you in my team because I think you can help us. But it's fun. It's to me it's fine as long as everyone can speak English, not just Spanish. Especially when you get people like from Sweden coming, right? But I mean, to me, as long as we're doing good, no problem.
I agree, mate. As long as we're doing good. And one thing, I may get annoying with this, but I keep on saying it. I'm always going to go back to it. I'm ready for FCito to turn into a real pipeline of talent. I'm ready for that. I'm
Yeah.
ready for FCito to really be a farm team for the first team. Now, I know it takes time. I know it's a lot of work has to go into it, but the moves that have been made and some of the players that have been let go and some of the players that have been brought in, it's all part of a plan. Like they say, trust the process. And I'm seeing some of the fruits kind of come to light. Now, there's still a long way to go. But like you mentioned, I'm excited about the new and improved Austin FC too. And hopefully with time, it turns into that farm team that I so very much dream of. Now, Alex, before we get out of here, just a couple more minutes left. I, excuse me. I do want to talk about this guy right here. On screen, we have Driussi in the River Plate jersey. Now, I bring him up because today, as we're recording this podcast, Tuesday, January 21st, my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad.
Oh, happy
River
birthday
Plate.
to your dad.
Happy birthday, Pops. River Plate. It's not, I don't know how he's going to take it. Mexico is losing to River Plate, and he's watching that game because I didn't leave his house before putting the game on for him. But River Plate is currently bossing against Mexico. They're beating them. And Driussi was presented today along with other players like Montiel, as you saw there on screen. But 10 million came to Austin FC's way. Austin FC fans let him have it. Driussi did make a goodbye or a thank you post, kind of late, but hey, better late than never. Some people were sending it to me. I saw it and whatnot. But the fact is that he is now a River Plate player. He's a millonario, and he was presented today to 70,000 people in the match against Mexico. So, Alex, just your closing thoughts on Sebastian Driussi, because it's time for a new chapter to begin here at the club.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wish him the best. I actually want him to do well. I really do wish him the best, especially at the Club World Cup. It would be great to see him go off in this tournament. Um, regarding the way he left, I think it was wrong, obviously. I think it was not something that you do as a pro. But also at the same time, we can't complain because that's the same way we got Uzuni. So you might be mad about Driussi, but you're happy about Uzuni. But the Granada fans are mad about Uzuni. So it's like it's hypocritical of us to be mad at Driussi but be happy at Uzuni, right? So it's a way to if it's the way this works. I get why Uzuni did it. He did it for money because he is 29 years old. He's at the end of his career. He doesn't have too many years left in soccer, at least, and he has to make money. He wasn't getting paid that much or enough for him to be happy. And with Driussi, he was getting paid really, really well, but he wasn't happy in other areas. He wanted to go play in his the club of his dreams, actually, the place he loves the most. We always knew Driussi loves River a whole lot more than he loved Austin. So it was just the circumstances. Again, I don't think that was right, neither from Driussi nor from Uzuni. But you can't be mad at Seba if you're happy about Mirto. So just wish him the best, and let's see how he does in the Club World Cup.
No, dude, and honestly, Alex, I think you hit it spot on. You say that you're hoping everything goes well for Driussi. I think it's gonna go well for Driussi in his new adventure or his return to just like you said, the club that he loves, el club de sus amores, like Arch Bell was telling us on the podcast. And we've seen this happen, multiple times, time and time again. The Argentine player wants to return to either River Plate or Boca Juniors, whatever, and they push for that move. They push for that exit, and you kind of hit it on the head when you said that. Soccer doesn't last forever, and it was Driussi's dream to go back to River Plate. He kind of had a deal with the spirits of River Plate where he was going to return. He was going to return, be 27, be 28, be 29, and he finally gets to move here in 2025. And you got to be happy for the guy in a weird way, because you return to where you were happy. The last two seasons of Sebastian Driussi with Austin FC, you could tell that something was bothering him. You could just based off his production on the field. when a player struggles off the field, it affects him on the pitch, and that brought on all the criticism, all the pressure from the fan base. 20 goals combined the last 2 seasons is not good enough for a designated player. He's going to hang his hat on the 2022 season where he was an MVP candidate. Maybe he should have won it. The stadium would chant MVP, MVP. It was a great season. It was a bit of a euphoric feeling when it was 2022. That AustinFC team was magic, absolutely magic. But now it's 2025 and it's the start of a new era. And just like we see on screen, Sebastian Driussi is kissing the crest of another club on his jersey. And it's the club where he wants to be. It's the club of his dreams, El Club de sus Amores. I'm happy we got the money. We were able to invest it into somebody like Usuni. Hopefully it gets done this week because I'd love to present him and I'd love to, start thinking about all the different lineups that we're going to have with this new super team that we're creating. But hey, in the end, mate, Driussi is gone. We got the bag and it's time to move on. Are you ready to move on?
Yeah,
Alex?
no, I'm ready. I completely get Seba. If we were frustrated in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, imagine the players, imagine Seba, especially after knowing that you were able to be an MVP candidate and then not anymore. And then the club of your dreams of your life comes knocking and say, hey, I'm willing to put some money for you, compared to, hey,
what a novela, bro.
Was making you.
What a novela.
No, it was a novella. But I'm just saying, like, Driussi saw, like, okay, go play for River, where I want to be, and the place that I love, the club that I love, and Club World Cup, compared to, okay, they got rid of the guy that was making me unhappy, but I don't know if the new guy is going to make me happy. I don't know. It's a risk. With River, I at least know I'll be happy in one way or another. So I get Seba, but yeah, I'm ready to move on. Like I said, I'm really excited about this Club World Cup. I want to see not only how Seba, how River, but how all of the clubs do. But obviously, I will be interesting to see if Seba can get back to that 2022 level, because it would be kind of interesting on some parties if it turns out he dropped level, not because of him, but because of something else, right? But yeah, no, just ready to move on and ready for him to be happy, for us to be happy, and for us to be able to spend what we got from him on Brandon Vasquez, apparently. So yeah, all good.
Now, one more little detail on Sebastian Driussi. We see that he chooses the number 15 for his jersey. In the presentation, in the official contract signing, he was presented with a blank jersey. There was no number on it. As he walked out to the pitch of El Monumental, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of that stadium, 70,000 fans. We see on the back, he has number 15. And I just got to ask, Alex, do you think that is an ode to his best friend at AustinFC, Don Danny Pereira, who 4 years ago today was the first overall MLS draft pick? Do you think that it was like, hey, Danny, my boy, you know what? I'll pick up 15, because we have to remember Danny was number 15 at one point, and we know that they had such a good relationship, Danny and Driussi. You think that there's a connection there, the buddies?
No, but I'm gonna convince myself that it is.
We would like to think. We would like to think it. Now, shout out to Danny. Like we said, 4 years ago today, he was the first overall pick in the MLS Super Draft. Such an important day for him, for his family, and of course for the club.
First South American ever to be the first draft pick in history.
First South American in history. Wow.
Yeah.
Massive achievement there, Don Danny Pereira. Excited
no
for his
Argentinians, no Brazilians, no Uruguayans, no. A Venezuelan was the first draft pick ever.
From Caracas.
From South America. Yeah.
De Caracas, Venezuela para el mundo, as we say here in the Top Flight Pod. But shout out to Danny. Celebrate today. I know it was a 1-0, but it's good to see him back on the pitch, fighting for what he loves. We see him there on screen in the Verde and Black, and here saying hi to his homie Maxi Urruti. Now, just last thing, I want to send a shout out to the AustinFC Academy boys who swept the Houston Dynamo this weekend. The 18s, they won 2-1. I believe Mohamed Mo Badiwa, he's here on screen. He scored one of the goals. Sean also scored one. And then we have here a 3-2 win by the U16s. Kike de la Cruz, he scored one of the goals. Shout out to the boys at the 16 level. We also had, let's see, where they at? The 15s, that's Zeke Snow on screen. He scored a brace. He scored both goals in the U15 win. And the U14s, they also won as well. Shout out to those boys, the U14s. Everybody really doing their thing at the academy level. You love to see it. Even the U13s, they won 8-1. They didn't play the Dynamo. They played Dragon FC. They won 8-1. So it's great that the academy had a fantastic weekend. Their season is coming up. So here at We're Austin TV, and the Top Flight podcast. We're going to be keeping up with those boys as the season progresses. And FCito, we have some great plans for that team as well. We're going to have somebody covering that team on
I'm excited.
I'm
so
on
excited
a whole
for
other
that.
level. I'm so excited for that. It's 2025 is going to be a season of dreams for us here at Austin FC, here at We're Austin TV. Sorry, I'm getting excited. I'm just really ready for what we got going on. But Alex, before we get out of here, any last words for the people listening?
No, just be excited. Be really excited about this season. I think we're already seeing a lot of the changes. I think we're past a dark era, and I can't say that everything is going to work out as we want. I can't say that we are going to score, 100 goals with that ultra offensive team. I don't know. It's just a pre-analysis of what I can see right now. But at the very minimum, I'm excited to all of the possibilities that seem to be available for us this season. And we are actually tomorrow actually, 1 month away from the opening at Q2 Stadium. So
there we go.
Let's get ready for that.
Let's get ready for that now. I'm Hernán, of course. That's Alex. You can follow him on social media. Make sure to check out his work, everything that he's doing with the club for us here at We're Austin TV, WAE TV. Got some stuff coming up for you guys, so make sure to keep an eye on everything that we post because you won't want to miss it. Now, Alex, another thing, great job on the Fagundes podcast. At the event, a lot of people were coming up to me saying, hey, you guys killed it. Fantastic interview. So I'm looking forward to the next player that we're going to get to interview. I'm not going to reveal any details, any secrets, but keep an eye out for the next player that football critic, Mr. Alex, We're Austin TV, and I interview here in the future. But like I said, I'm Hernán. That's Alex. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you soon, guys. Stay warm.